April 1945. Europe was burning. The Second World War neared its brutal end. Allied forces advanced deeper into the heart of Nazi Germany, city by city, village by village, uncovering the human cost of tyranny at every step. But among the ruins of a collapsing empire, one discovery would shake even the most battle-hardened soldiers to their core: an abandoned barn, 200 German children, and an act of humanity that stunned the world. As the 12th Armored Division of the United States Army moved through southern Germany, they encountered devastation unlike anything they'd seen before: bombed-out towns, starving civilians, and a nation brought to its knees. On the outskirts of a small Bavarian village near Bad Windsheim, a reconnaissance unit noticed smoke rising from a distant farmhouse. Believing it might be a hiding place for retreating German soldiers, they approached with caution. The men prepared for an ambush, rifles raised, every sense heightened. But what they found inside was no enemy force. It was silence, the kind that comes after too much fear, and then the faint sound of crying. As their eyes adjusted to the dim light, they realized what lay before them. Huddled in straw, trembling and thin, were children. Dozens of them, then more, and more still, nearly 200 in all. The children ranged from toddlers to teenagers. Many were barefoot, covered in dirt and lice, their faces sunken from hunger. Some were so weak they couldn't stand. An older boy, perhaps 14, tried to speak. In broken English, he said they had been brought here from a nearby orphanage after the bombings. Their caretakers had fled when the front line approached, leaving them to die. No food, no adults, no hope. The soldiers faced a decision. Their orders were clear: move forward, secure the area, and rendezvous with command. But what they saw that day was something orders could never prepare them for. Sergeant William Parker, one of the first to enter the barn, later wrote in his diary, "We came here to fight men with guns. Instead, we found children with empty eyes." The men immediately began unloading their rations: canned meat, chocolate, biscuits, anything they could spare. They tore apart their own medical packs to treat infected wounds and frostbite. The barn was soon transformed into a field hospital and refuge. Soldiers who only hours before were storming enemy positions were now cradling infants and spoon-feeding starving children. One medic described how the youngest, barely 2 years old, clung to his uniform and refused to let go. Word spread quickly through the regiment. More troops arrived, bringing blankets, milk, and medical supplies. For 2 days, the soldiers rotated shifts, guarding the barn by night, tending to the children by day. The division's chaplain conducted an impromptu service inside the barn. There, among the straw and shattered beams, the sound of children's laughter slowly began to return. Private James McDonnell later wrote home, "We came as conquerors." But that night we learned what it meant to be human again. When relief organizations finally arrived, they were stunned to find all 200 children alive, fed, treated, and sheltered by the same soldiers who had been their enemy's enemy. The American commanders officially recorded the event as the Bad Windsheim Orphan Rescue, but to those who were there it was something deeper, a moment when compassion triumphed over hatred. In the decades that followed, survivors of that barn told their stories. Many had no memory of their parents, only of the day the Americans came. One survivor, Anna Muller, recalled, "They were giants to us. Not because they were soldiers, but because they were kind. They gave us bread. They gave us names. They gave us life." Several of the men who took part in the rescue stayed in contact with the children for years afterward, sending letters, photographs, and aid through the Red Cross. Some even sponsored adoptions and reunifications after the war. The story of the abandoned barn was not one of strategy or conquest. It was a story of mercy amid madness. In a world consumed by vengeance and destruction, a handful of weary soldiers chose empathy over orders, and in doing so, reminded the world of what humanity still meant. Their actions were later recognized by humanitarian organizations and documented in post-war archives as one of the most extraordinary acts of compassion by American troops during World War II. 200 lives saved, one moment of grace in a sea of horror, and a simple truth that endures through history. Even in the darkest of times, the light of kindness can still pierce through, because war may reveal the worst in mankind, but it is mercy that reveals the best.